Hi guys, and welcome back to another Empires and Puzzles video. Today I have the data on the upcoming Soul Exchange. I believe it's the 24th of March Soul Exchange, the first Soul Exchange we have in the year 2024, and I'm pretty sure you have seen other big YouTubers review this before, but I've decided to wait before the information is official. And remember, this list can change at last minute, and it may not be different, but this is just a heads up for what's coming in the Soul Exchange event that will be coming up. So there are 10 souls, 15 souls, and 20 souls. So we'll be taking a look at some numbers first. So let's get into our whiteboard. I'll get my pen. So 10 souls, 15 souls, and 20 souls. So 10 souls is what you call free-to-play players who don't spend money or just enjoy the game and not that competitive. 15 souls are cheap to play. People who spend a little but not that much or not consistent. But 20 souls is pay to win. So pay to win people are the people who spends a lot to get good heroes, materials. So the 10 free-to-play players, these players would be able to afford the 10 category. Cheap to play will be able to afford the 15 category, and pay-to-win players have the 20 category. And there's this thing where if you're super advanced and competitive, you will be in the meta, which this event, Soul Exchange, doesn't benefit you at all. So if you're in the meta, if you're in the top 1,000 players, you're probably in the meta and have a lot of good heroes, max 5-star troops, and double limit broken teams, for example. So you are in the meta, and the Soul Exchange event won't be as impactful or as helpful to you or as the free-to-play, the cheap-to-play, or the pay-to-win players. So what I like to call the free-to-play players is the bottom 25. Sorry about my handwriting, I'm using an Apple Pencil. Bottom 25% of players. The cheap to play will be the 25% to the 50%. And the pay to win will be 50 to 75%. And then if you're in the meta, you're gonna be in the 100%. Or you can be just a 75 plus. So this is my look on the different types of players. In the Soul Exchange free-to-play, you'll be able to afford the first row heroes, the 10 soul heroes, the 10 souls hero, free to play. 15 would be cheap to play, my C, and 20 would be pay to win. So these are the type of players and what they will be able to afford and benefit from. So without further ado, let's get into the heroes themselves. So we'll be starting with the 10 row. That's my thumbnail for my latest video. We'll be starting with the 10 row. So our first hero is the hero of the month. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Euthagra. I have no idea. But he is a pretty decent damage dealer, and he does heal himself. But I wouldn't say he is that of a good hero. So I wouldn't recommend recommend this pick. Let's get our pen out. So I wouldn't recommend this pick. Next, on the holy category, we have Costume Odin. Now, Costume Odin can be functional at tank if you're around level 30 to 40 players. And Odin gives that mana generation boost. So Odin, I can see be a possibility for you to use. Now, Francine deals 225% damage to target and nearby enemies. And now back to our whiteboard. What I like to call this is damage. So if it's 250 below, I call this low damage. I'm sorry, that's a B, low damage. So if 250%, this is percent to around 400, I call this medium damage. But if 400% plus, I call this high damage. And the 400 here is the amount of damage that you should use, or you should have heroes that deal about this much damage if you're in the pay to win or the meta section. So that is the damage category. Francine's damage is not really impressive, and that cleanse, I think Francine can be used as a cleanser. If you can't time it well, 3 turns cleanse every turn. Francine, I don't really recommend, but if you already have someone like Odin or Snow White that is good in this first role, I recommend to just save your souls for the next soul exchange. Next we have Yang Mai. Now Yang Mai is a hero that I have, and I emblem her, and she's not really impressive. I will just prefer someone at fast speed, season 1 hero like Marjana over Yang Mai. I think she's not that special, she's not that good. So I wouldn't consider Yang Mai if you have 10 souls. Now next we have Costume Snow White. Now Costume Snow White can be extremely devastating in Rush Wars. The cleanse and dispel all status ailments and buffs. It's that background noise again. Sorry about the background noise. Cleanse and dispel buffs and ailments from both enemies and allies. So Snow White, I would definitely consider if you are not interested in going for the next soul exchange, or you desperately need a damage dealer in the ice element. So my rankings for this role will be Snow White number 1, Odin number 2, Francine's number 3, Euthagran I think is number 4, and Yang Mai is number 5. But if you already have Odin and Snow White, I wouldn't even consider any other of these 3 heroes. Just save your souls for the next soul exchange. Maybe you can get enough souls for the 15 category next time. So only Snow White and Odin are the only reasonable options, in my opinion, in the 10 souls category. So let's move on to the 15 souls category. First we have Narcissa. So in Empires and Puzzles, I categorize heroes in these categories: DD, damage dealer, H, healers, and S, specialists. Damage dealers are the heroes that deal damage, healers heal, of course, and specialists are the heroes that applies reset, taunt. I'm probably gonna spell everything wrong. dodge, kind of like that. So I think Narcissa is a specialist because she applies reset, the reset on status ailments. I think Narcissa is more classified as a specialist more than a damage dealer because her damage is a bit low, but she is running at fast speed and she does reset all those status ailments. So I think Narcissa can be a pretty devastating combo with a team that applies damage over time or DOT damage. So Narcissa is definitely a good option. Next we have Dabria, a reviver. Now let's talk about revivers. Revivers are the people that brings your hero back to life. Now I compare revivers like this. 0% to 20% is a bad reviver. 20% to about 40% is medium chance or a medium reviver, and 40% plus 40 plus will be considered an overpowered healer. So, and the things that determine these is also the amount of heal that they give as well. So these are the revive chances in my opinion. Dabria gives, I think, a 40% chance to revive with I think 30% health, 30, 20, I think it's 30. Running at average speed. Most medium or overpowered healers are running at slow speed, like Mother North, or someone like Alberic that is featured in the Faded Summon. Relius, for example. Charon, for example, 65%. Charon is an OP healer, but he is running at very, very slow speed, and you have to get him to third charge. And one more downside about Dabria is the healing. The healing 893, 894, I think around that point is not that impressive, especially starting off low and getting increasingly high every time. So that gives the chance of dispel, and the heal won't be as effective if it's just constant on every turn. So Dabria, if you need a holy reviver running at average speed, Dabria can be a pretty good choice, but I think in this list of heroes compared to Narcissa, she's just not that good, so I won't recommend Dabria in this list. Next we have Econite. Now Econite is one, I think, the second round ninjas that just came out with Amethyst, Serendite, and I think Econite is pretty good, especially when you can summon that counterattack minion at very fast speed and apply about 200% damage to the enemy at very fast speed. And Econite is one of the newer ninjas. So what I like about newer ninjas in contrast to the older ninjas, that background noise again, to the older ninjas, is the newer ninjas attack all, but if you get more charge, you get higher damage. But in contrast, the older ninjas, they just first charge one target, nearby enemies for second charge, and all for third charge. So I really like the second round ninjas, and especially when you summon that Shinobi minion, I think that's what it's called, and you counterattack. So the more the minion, the more the health, the more damage the minion can absorb. And with that counterattack, the minion can absorb more damage than a normal minion because you're also countering attack, you're not absorbing the full impact. So I think Econite is also a pretty decent option if you need a green if you need a nature green damage dealer or a all-rounder. So Econite is a pretty decent option. Next, we have a lunar hero, Xiao Tu. Xiao Tu is the first lunar hero, I think, to be featured in the Soul Exchange. So Xiao Tu, I just take her because of the passive. The minion skill block makes such a good counter for Water Pipes minions, Liu Bei's minions, Diao Chan's minions. You just disable the minions so the minions won't have any special effects. It's just the health that matters. So, and Xiao Tu packs a punch, 655% damage at average speed. I think her damage is even more than Xiao Jing if you have her all emblemed up, double limit broken. And I can't remember her ether talent, but I think it's attack up. So I really like Xiao Tu. She packs a punch, and especially that secondary effect where the enemy is immune to healing and takes damage for each attempted heal. So Xiao Tu is the best pick in this row in my opinion. So next we have the first ever Mighty Pets hero featured in a Soul Exchange. She is Cinnamon. Now Cinnamon, I really like about her is that she gives minus 54%, a whopping 54% decreased elemental defense down to ice. So it is on par, the E defense down is on par with Costume Perseus, just running at a different speed, but this applies to all enemies, not just a 3-hit, all enemies. And especially if you pair Cinnamon with average speed hitters, someone like Sobek, she will be pretty devastating. Sobek, Guardian Hippo, maybe some 3-hitters like Timaeus, Tinsel, Costume Alacy. So I think Cinnamon is also a pretty good choice, especially if you have Guardian Hippo, Sobek, or a couple of 3-hitters. I think she would go well with them. So in the 15 souls row, I will give last place to, I think we're going to do this other way around. First place goes to Xiao Tu. Second place I'll give to Narcissa. We have a two-way tie for third place. So 4, 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4 between Econite and Cinnamon. Just depends on your playing style or your roster. And lastly, fifth to Dabria. So I think Xiao Tu is extremely good, especially as a Lunar New Year hero. She just packs a punch, that healing immunity. Narcissa just resets the ailment. It's going to be extremely good when paired with damage over time heroes. Cinnamon, Econite, I see different uses for each hero. Econite can be used as your all-rounder, a tank, and attack hero. And Cinnamon can be pretty good with Guardian Hippo, Sobek, Alacy, Tinsel, so many other, Timaeus, Perseus, so many other hitters. And Dabria, I can see her being picked, but I think these heroes are just so much better. But if Dabria is featured in the last Soul Exchange, I think she is the #1 pick. But this time we just have so many other amazing heroes in the 15 soul row that she just got overshadowed. So that is my conclusion for the 15 soul row. Next, we have the interesting one, the 20 souls. Now, I'd like to state something. At the beginning of this video, I stated that I want to make the information official or like approved first by the SG developers. But I think we are gonna see this a very high possibility of Dr. Maru being chained with Narcissa, because I think Narcissa is worth 20 souls and Dr. Maru is worth 15 souls, especially when compared to these 4 heroes. So I won't be surprised if we see these 2 change places. So that's my hypotheses. So Dr. Maru, I wouldn't even consider, I won't even talk about him, especially comparing to these other 4 heroes, amazing heroes in the 20 soul category. Next we have the pirate herself, Anne. Now I think Anne hasn't aged well. Don't get me wrong, Anne is an amazing hero. Back then, like a year ago, Anne is a catastrophically amazing hero. She is just a beast, but now her damage is just not enough, especially now we have 5-star troops, double limit breaks, ether powers, and so many other components. Like, what's the word? I don't even know. I'm just speechless. But you guys may be surprised about this, but I think Anne is not the best option in the 20 souls row, especially when compared with Bubbles or Cupido, because I think damage dealers, in my opinion, damage dealers have not aged well, in contrast to the mana cutters, who is hard I don't even care right now, hard to counter. I'll just do the C, because the damage dealers, the damage will get outdated, not as fast as the mana cutters. You still see pretty old mana cutters like Alfred, Kalervo used in the meta, but you haven't seen pretty good damage dealers like Gossick when he came down used in the meta anymore. So that is my opinion on the outdated heroes with the damage and the mana cutters. So I think Anne is not a good option, but if you are in desperado of a yellow damage dealer, Anne can be a pretty good choice. I think Anne is probably the best yellow damage dealer, on par with Shaw, Erling Shen, Christine Day. I think Anne is one of the best holy heroes, but she just hasn't aged well, and that makes these other heroes have an edge on her. So next we have Athos. Athos is one of the worst musketeers in my opinion, but he is running at very fast speed. He is hitting 1 for 470% at very fast speed, destroys the minions, and he gets mana for it. So I think Athos can be pretty good at isolating or softening defenses, but he's just not that good compared to other heroes in this soul exchange. I think Athos belongs in the 15 souls, because he's just not that good anymore. The cover mechanic still is pretty good in these days. So I can see some people, if you need a minion counter, Athos is an amazing option. Or if you want to isolate a hole or kill a hero like early on in the battle, Athos could be a pretty good option for you if you do need those qualities of a hero. Next, we're getting into the spicy ones. Now we have Cupido and Bubbles. I'll just compare these two heroes because they are pretty similar. So let's whip out my pen. we'll just have this Cupido, Bubbles. So mana speed, Cupido is average, Bubbles is fast. Cupido is a hit 3, Bubbles is a hit 1. Now Cupido can be used in Rush Wars. Extremely good for Cupido. Rush Wars is where Cupido shines the most. So, and Bubbles gives shifting mindless attack, while Cupido gives a mindless heal. So Bubbles can be used as a mana cutter, while Cupido can be used as both a mana cutter and a secondary healer. But for me, I think I prefer Bubbles. For you, you may prefer Cupido, because I have not been struggling in Rush Wars, but I do need a pretty decent mana cutter. But you may be struggling in Rush Wars, you may already have Bubbles, so there are so many circumstances, scenarios you have to consider. But I think Cupido and Bubbles are the best pick in this row. So to rank this row, I think Cupido and Bubbles tie for first place. Cupido and Bubbles tie for first place. It just determines on, depends on your needs. Whether you are struggling in Rush Wars, you pick Cupido. But if you need a fast mana cutter or someone to deal with a taunt, I think Bubbles is the better option here. So they are getting a tie for first place. Second place goes to Athos. Now Athos can be used in your raid teams to isolate an opening or softening defense, as I said. And Athos is a pretty decent mana counter, so that is why he is getting second place. Next we have Anne, third place. Now Anne, if you do need a yellow damage dealer, a good damage dealer to be exact, I think Anne is an amazing option. Her class, fighter, amazing. But Anne has just aged well. And don't let SG fool you, because SG released this hero to fool us, to make us spend money, but they're just gonna release better heroes for our money to be just wasted, and then we spend money on those new heroes, and then they'll just get outdated even more, and then there's just keep repeating the process. It's like child candy. And then last place goes to Dr. Maru costume, to be exact. But I think overall, where's my pen button? Okay. But I think overall, my final rankings are first place. I think we have a 3-way tie for first place. Xiao2, Cupido, and Bubbles. Second place, I'm gonna have to give to Narcissa. Third place, it's a 2-way tie between Econite and Cinnamon. Fourth place goes to Athos. Fifth place goes to Anne. Sixth place goes to Dabria. Seventh place goes to Dr. Maru. Eighth place goes to Snow White. Ninth place goes to Costume Odin. 10th place goes to Francine. 11th go to Udragon, and Yang Mai gets 12th. But if I were you, I wouldn't consider any of these options. So the options that are in blue, I would consider. Cupido I would consider. Bubbles I would consider. Xiao2 I would consider. Narcissa I would consider. Econite I would consider. Cinnamon I would consider. Athos I would consider. But I don't see the need of picking any other of these heroes. So my top picks I think if nothing gets changed, I think my picks would be either let's change our pen color, a darker. I think my pick would be Bubbles or a Xiao 2. It just depends on who else I can get maxed because I already have Melina in blue and I have no heroes in red that I'm gonna get maxed. They're gonna get maxed. I was planning on maxing Mad Hammer, but I think Xiao 2 is the better option. But I would like to get both of these heroes, but unfortunately I could pick one. So comment down below who you would pick in this soul exchange. If you have any questions or suggest your opinions down below, please like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and see you next time. And see you next time.